The main concern of Rawls's philosophical project is to construct a political constitution or charter of laws, using his rational conception of a fairness based on political liberalism, equality, and universal rights. This occasions his justice as fairness argument. Rawls, writing in the shadow of Jeremy Bentham, quickly understood the perverse outcomes generated by utilitarianism, a theory we understand as Bentham's own. Utilitarianism promotes a society endeavouring to bring about the maximum good for the maximum number of people. Though Rawls reconciled that principles inherent to utilitarian doctrine were not wholly deserving of condemnation, the good of society, however, should not be defined strictly by outcomes. We can squeeze the juices of utilitarianism into a modern liberalism, while discarding the remaining fruit. To get us there, Rawls looks to find the most foundational set of axioms to lay as the bedrock of this new liberal society. He does so by deploying his thought experiment, the veil of ignorance, a tradition first found in Thomas Hobbes that places a collective under pre-social contract conditions. In this experiment, we can better deduce a good society, as we are uninhibited by the contingencies and particularities of the existing state apparatus. The veil of ignorance asks us to consider a hypothetical vacuum before time itself, where we have no understanding of the life we will live. This he calls the original position. Rawls argues we will arrive upon a set of principles so fundamental that none could disagree. He writes, "Among the essential features of this situation is that none knows his place in society, his class position or social status, nor does anyone know his fortune in the distribution of natural assets and abilities, his intelligence, strength, and the like. I shall even assume that the parties do not know their conceptions of the good, or their special psychological propensities. The principles of justice are chosen behind a veil of ignorance." As a rationalist, Rawls argues man will be guided by his natural faculty of reason on a path to establishing a basic constitution that emphasizes an equal right to the most extensive basic liberty, compatible with a similar liberty for others. Borrowing features of Kant's universalization of liberty through reason and a priori judgments, Rawls endeavoured to transform Kantian notions into a constitution stressing static doctrine. With less appeal to Kant's dynamic freedom, these policies are established not ever to create a comprehensive account of the political or moral, but to fix debates to normative constraints. Rawls sought to transform Kant by encouraging individuals to forget the particularities of their situation and become grounded observers, therefore enabling what is fair to become what is just. Rawls' emphasis on Kantian rationality, freedom, and equality is particularly evident in his concession of inevitable disputes regarding constitutional law. Individuals are inherently limited in their capacity to acquire a universal, comprehensive view, as minorities and majorities are in constant competition at establishing foundational ideas. But individuals are also free and can explore their own convictions. Following the Rawlsian constitutional democracy, individual and differing conceptions of the comprehensive good are reconciled with society. Rawls enmeshes both realism and utopianism in A Theory of Justice, where he utilizes institutions to facilitate just and fair Kantian rationality. Rawls contends certain political ends are capable of being agreed upon, evidenced in his two principles of rights and duties. These two principles are the bedrock of his future society and cannot be brought about through empiricism or deliberation, as neither force can require one another to follow the aspirations of love that are used to bind comprehensive values. The first principle that might arise in the peculiar nature of the original position is a guarantee of liberties for all. Each person is to have an equal right to the most extensive total system of equal basic liberties compatible with a similar system of liberty for all. But do you see the tension here? With a finite number of resources, there must be some sort of limit to our liberalism. The second principle has two parts, both aimed at ordering resources to protect these common interests. Social and economic inequalities are to be arranged so that they are both to the greatest benefit of the least advantage, consistent with the just savings principle, and attached to offices and positions open to all under conditions of fair equality of opportunity. In the first part, Rawls defines the difference principle. Inequality is to be permitted right up to the extent it no longer delivers benefits for the worst off. In a free market society, this hypothetically entails that traders are allowed to allocate capital as they wish, promising it stimulates the economy and delivers fruits for the poorest, once the wealth of traders generates only personal benefits, while disadvantageous to others. These liberties end. The other dimension references equality of opportunity. Society is meritorious in that the most worthy and productive are given the most important functions to fill. However, each individual should be endowed with equal opportunities to achieve these offices and positions. This, Rawls believes, individuals could agree upon through overlapping consensus. Rawls contended that comprehensive views of the universe, such as religion, the good, metaphysics, tradition, would never work in the original position as they are too particular and cannot be arrived upon through man's uninhibited reason. As a realist, the particularities do not overlap behind the veil of ignorance, as they depend upon appetites and aversions. Rawls advocates that individuals should bracket their metaphysical considerations of good and evil to instead pursue a shallower, purely political mode of deliberation. In this sense, civil institutions rest upon political conviction as opposed to a search for self or group interest. Using this grounding, we are able to comfortably universalize the rights and duties of Rawlsian liberalism. Rawls's project was grand, rivaling the scale of Kant, which strived to establish universal equality and freedom among men as well. In writing the first edition of A Theory of Justice in 1971, Rawls reinvigorated, even revived, the tradition of both liberalism and political philosophy. Rawls exhorts his readers to meaningfully and in good faith engage with a contemporary liberal system that all have access to. Rawls, a true egalitarian of artificial principles, wants us to simply envision a more just and fair society, a plurality of faiths and peoples,